Real estate rock stars. My favorite podcasts are the ones that are just true meat and potatoes. Here is what you do, and you're going to sell a lot of houses. And this podcast has that. Alicia Holmquist out of Myrtle Beach. She started in real estate back in 2021, sold 35 homes her first year without knowing anybody in the community. And here's how she did it. All right. Thank you, Alicia Holmquist from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Thank you so much for joining us.
I can't even tell you how excited I am to be here right now.
Oh, yay. Well, let's just start from the beginning. You've been in real estate for how long? Talk about your journey getting into real estate.
I am going into my 5th year, so I like to say that I have 365 days left to not become a national statistic and fail out of real estate. Uh, I moved here and decided to change everything I was doing and get into real estate. No sphere of influence, and I've always wanted to be a realtor. Could never quit my job before and go to real estate school. We have a really awesome local school here that I went to, and I got really lucky because before even finishing school, I was already hired by Welcome Home, and it was basically like, "Hey, just pass, and then we'll help with the next step." And I was really lucky because my first mentor understood 100% that there was no option for failure for me. I had to pay my bills. I had used what was left to jump into real estate, and she basically said, "Go, just do what you got to do." And I started with what everybody was saying the basics were. I was doing like 2 open houses a weekend for anybody in our brokerage that had a listing, um, cold calling, signing up for any class that would help me to understand real estate better. I just dove in 10 toes down, whatever you want to call it, and went from there. And I got really lucky. I became our top producer in my first year, and nobody has outproduced me since. So it's a lot of fun. I've also joined with Inside Real Estate. I'm a peer coach with them. I love working with new agents who are struggling because maybe the support they have with their brokerage is really great, but maybe it's just not directed in the way they need to be supported. So I really think that's becoming like my favorite thing about real estate right now is like hearing a new agent say, "I'm stuck. I don't know what to do." And I'm like, "Here, let me just give you my playbook real quick. 'Cause this is what I did. But this is the first year I've actually doubled my transactions. I was averaging about 30 to 35 somewhere. In our market, we have a price point somewhere between 250 and probably 350 is the average. And I was averaging about 7 million a year to 8 million a year. And this year I've already almost doubled my transactions, and I'm on projection to fully hit those numbers. So I'm super excited.
That's amazing in a down year. And I want to go back. You said I was just really lucky. There's no luck in that. It's working hard. And I can
It
definitely
is.
tell that that was what you did. So, what type of job were you coming from? And also, what made you randomly move to South Carolina?
I've always been in sales. I've been in sales my entire life in one way or another. My degree was actually in childhood development, but everything, childhood development doesn't really pay at the end of the day. So I was always in some form of sales. I love sales. I love helping people. I actually went into car sales right before going into real estate because I thought that would be a lot of fun, and that's what made me go, "This is not what I want to be doing. I want to be in real estate," because it. I did not want to have to try to convince somebody in 30 minutes to spend that much money. I wanted to have a relationship. With that being said, I did jump into the market in 2021, so I did only have 30 minutes per client to be like, "We need to
Mhm.
put an offer in right now or you're gonna lose the house," which was awful. So this market cooling down, and yes, much harder than when I first started, but it's so much more rewarding to actually be able to, like, sit down with a client. And then I moved to Myrtle Beach. My dad had moved here 2 weeks before the world shut down in 2020. We came and we visited, we said 5-year plan, and then the world shut down. While the world was shut down, I'm originally from Maine. Maine was one of the last states to open back up, but in the middle of COVID, was sent home. I was one of the people that was deemed essential, which was great. So I was able to keep working, but I was sent home because I was an operations manager. So I knew everybody's job. And if somebody got sick, they were going to bring me back into the office. So they were like, go work from home. It was my first taste what it was like to work at home. I wasn't really 100% sold. I liked being that person who, like, walked around the office and chatted with everybody and wanted to see how their day was going. But when my dad moved here, we came to visit, we said 5-year plan, COVID hit. We couldn't spend any money, we couldn't go out, so I said 2-year plan, and my husband was like, "Great." And it was actually 5 months later, I had called the realtor who had represented the seller of our house because he was just so amazing. And I said, I think we want to sell. And he came and he basically had to wear like a hazmat suit. It was hilarious. And when he sent us our comps, I called my husband. I was like, we're leaving now. We're not waiting
Yeah.
5 years. We're leaving now. And we got really lucky because the bubble had not officially hit Myrtle Beach when we moved here. It was really just starting to creep in. So we actually came in like right under the radar. Our house within like a few months had like way appreciated. It was crazy the equity we had, and, I mean, we were blessed all around. I say lucky all the time, but we made the move when we made the move for reasons that it was just time. We hate winter up there. It's just if you're not from New England, you don't understand that, like, it really does get cold for a long period of
Yeah.
time, and
Yeah,
when you're in
I
Maine,
don't want
it's
to understand. I
yeah,
don't. I
it's
don't
not
even want to get that. It looks cold. We know it,
yeah.
us people from the South. So I feel you. So you jump into real estate, brand new market, brand new job, brand new market. How the heck did you get 30 to 35 closings your first year?
I stopped listening to all of the realtors who were trying to say, don't buy leads, don't sign up for referral programs, do it, this way or that way. I realized that one, there's like 6,000 realtors in the Myrtle Beach market. That's a lot of competition. I understand that, only 10% are really producing full time, but that's a lot of competition. And there's somebody out there always willing to say yes. I like to train on as a new realtor, you have to get real comfortable with being uncomfortable because you're going to constantly hear things like you need to prove your value. I agree with that. You need to know personally what your value is and you do need to prove it, but are you really going to walk away from a possible client or listing or buyer who says, "I'm not going to pay you your 3%." I heard early on, build your database, build your database, build your database. And the national statistics show 6 to 18 months is when somebody finally converts. And in my head, I said, I can't wait 6 to 18 months for somebody from an open house to finally convert. Or when I would go door knocking or the cold calling I would do, I couldn't wait 18 months. I needed right now leads. So I started looking into tons of different referral sites. My company did at the time participate with OpCity, which is now owned by Realtor.com. I was everybody in the office was like, "It's awful. You're gonna hate it. The leads are so awful." And I was like, "Bet. Okay." It was kinda like a challenge accepted because nobody liked it, so I was like, "I'm going to become the agent in this office who can, like, then train on the best practices of this lead source." And then from there, every couple of months, I would look at something new and take that one on. I would look at how much time and effort had to go into it. And then really, really lucky that within my first year, I went to my first Unite conference, put on by Inside Real Estate. At the time, it was Boomtown. And Andrew Undum was there and he was on stage. And I love talking about it. I've talked about it on another podcast. He said the words, don't cry, convert. And it resonated so deep in my soul because I was already living with the mantra of 0% of 0 is 0. So if you're walking away just because 'cause you're not getting your full 3% and you feel like you're not valued, sometimes it's not about whether the buyer or the seller value you or find all the value you're giving. Sometimes they really just can't afford it. They really can't do it, and we got into this to help people, yet a lot of times we're very, very focused on the what happens at the end, which is the paycheck. I would rather make less and have that client tell 20 people how amazing I was and how I did my job. But I knew that I didn't know anybody here, so I knew I needed lead sources. So I would bring on every couple months a new one. I would look at what that entailed because some of them you have a whole nother database you have to be
Mhm.
updating all the time. So I had to also come into creating a weekly plan for myself that like Mondays I'd get up super early in the morning, still do it to this day. I'll wake up at 4 on a Monday, and from 4 to 7 when the rest of the world is sleeping, I go through all of those different lead sources and I update them. And if I need to get rid of somebody cuz they can't they just unrealistic expectations of the market, or they couldn't get pre-qualified for now, whatever those databases require me to do, I'm constantly still following the same things I did day one that I'm doing now, and continuously looking for new lead sources, because I think there's so many out there. When you're brand new, you can sign up for so many that are zero cost up front. You might have to pay something at the end, but I like to look at it as most of those referral sites are charging somewhere between like 25 to 35%, which is what agents are charging. If I get a call from an agent in Maine and they send me somebody, they're charging me the same thing. So the way I look at referral sources is they're just my real estate BFFs from different places, and they're sending me clients. I don't look at the percentages as lost money, because if it was an agent, I wouldn't look at it as lost money. And I just started coaching on this the other day, that if you're closing 5 or 10 transactions a month, if you're hitting, you know, 100,000 or 200,000 a year, are you really sitting there and going, I lost 35%? No, you're not. You're just
Yeah.
not, because you're able to reinvest in your business and you're able to do bigger things. Maybe you're paying for Zillow. That's an upfront cost. That's, to me, those are even scarier, because you're paying for money every month for something that may never turn into something. And that's a really big, scary transition as a brand new realtor. And to be able to say I've done it in under 5 years and made those connections, and to know that I have a database now with over 5,000 leads in it, and over 160 closed transactions of people that I can go back to and ask for referrals, send holiday cards. I was super excited. I actually had one of my first open house clients call me just a couple months ago and say, "Hey, we want a house with a pool. At the end of the day, this isn't the right neighborhood. We don't want to put a pool in this backyard. So we're thinking about selling." And I was like, "Great, really tough market to sell in, but let's do it." And we put it on the market. It did go under contract. We found them a house with a pool. So that free lead created 3 transactions at the end of the day, which is freaking awesome. And I've had other clients who have bought investment properties in the area. I've had other clients who have already sold and bought again. So making sure once you're building that database and you have those lead sources, and you are converting leads, making sure you're still following up with those original people that got you to where you are, so that they don't forget about you, and bringing the value that way too.
With hosting this podcast, just the theme I hear with every single rock star like yourself is consistency. You're doing the same things that you did
Yeah.
when you first started, even though you now have double the business, you're busy, you probably feel like your hair is on fire. You're still making time and waking up early on that Monday saying, I need to update all these databases. Because from what I've seen, they reward you. They want to see that you're in there, you're clicking around, that you are nurturing the leads they gave you.
Yeah.
You're being a good steward of the referrals. So I think that's super interesting. Is there a certain source that you think performs better than others?
For me, yes, 100%. For example, Op City was my go-to when I first started. That was 100% my go-to. They had an issue like 2 years ago with it not working on Androids right. It messed with an algorithm, so it's not my go-to anymore. It's very slow for me, but almost all of them have some type of algorithm with claiming a lead, working a lead, updating the source, and or the database that they provide. I like a lot of the realtor.com products. Um, I really like my agent finder that's now joined with Inside Real Estate. They have a really great, you could choose not to pay monthly for it, or you could choose to pay monthly and have a smaller referral paid out. I would say I'm a big fan of Redfin. That's a good one. Agent Fix Up, I've seen some really great leads. They all have a conversion rate, right? We all know that the the national average is like 2% or maybe it's 4%
Mhm.
now. So that's one of the other things I love to like coach on is you have to understand that 2%, if you got 100 leads today, that means two, two. So it's one of the things, like I said early on, I heard that I needed to build a database because if I have 100 leads entering my system this month, two of them are going to convert. But the national average is 6 to 18 months. So those two leads have a very long time before they might convert. So it's building that and building it and building that so that there is more opportunity right now. And then again, those sources that have brought me leads, making sure I go back to those clients later on that did convert and say, hey, I'm still here if you know anybody. I'm still here if you need me again, and following up. But there's so many out there, and there's so many now that you can pay up front too. So, I'm still a big fan of the ones that in my eyes are less risk because you don't pay for anything unless it converts. I love those. But I do pay for a few different, and I also work with Inside Real Estate. My database is Bold Trail. So I also use a lot of their lead generation as well, to really fill my database. And I really like kind of like their all in one. I love a database that like it's there, everything automatically goes. And this is the first year I had to hire a transaction coordinator because doing that many, you really can't just do everything
Yeah.
yourself. I wish I could, but I would miss something
Yeah.
100%. It would be way too much.
There's a phrase that Oprah said all these years ago, like when somebody tells you who they are, believe them. And I think it's kind of the same with online leads. Like every single source, they tell you the conversion rate is around 2%, but then agents get mad being like, oh, all these leads are crap. It's like, yeah, you've only gone through like that 50%. You don't know when you're going to hit your one. And
Mhm.
that's just how it is. And like you said, I have someone on my team who is a killer at converting them, but I remember Op City when our brokers signed up, and I was one of the agents being like, those are crap leads. They're wanting $30,000 houses. They never pick up. So, yeah, a lot of agents, more seasoned agents, were like, we're not touching this. So it left it wide open for you, which I
Yeah,
think is
and
awesome.
it was really fun. Well, and just to go down like the opposite rabbit hole for a second, when I was hearing all the other agents that were like, "You're gonna have to pay so much out. It's a $30,000 house. They're not even gonna be pre-qualified." All this stuff that was negative, 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 negative. I was like, "Cool. I'm gonna work it till if I don't stop working a lead until they say, "Do not call me. Do not
Mhm.
email me. Do not text me. Do not contact me ever again." If they just opt out of something, okay, cool. That's a phone call. Like that just means we need to talk because you probably signed up for 5 different sites and you have 5 different realtors calling you. I want to be the one that constantly calls you so you know I'm not going away. But I dove in so hard with Upcity that I called and I was like, your little 2-minute training on the app, that's not enough. I need to understand how to make this work. And they did at the time. They were like, here's how you open up more of the app. Here's how you get better leads from it. And so I just started converting whatever they sent me because I was like, after three, they were going to open up different parts of the app, which they do it a little bit different now. They've stopped certain things. And then it was after so many, quick like, claiming them super quick and so many converting to a close, they would up that amount, and I remember the day I got my first $1 million claim from Op City.
Mm,
I claimed it and I won it, and I swore to God I ran around my house for, like 10 minutes, like, just like, "They're gonna call," and then I got the, like, "Sorry, they disconnected," and it was, like, a couple days later, like, I got another one, and they they did convert. They did not need $1 million house. They were pre-approved for $1 million, but they were moving to the area and they just needed a house that fit their family. And they bought a $400,000 house at the time. And then 6 months later called and said, okay, we've been here 6 months. Like we have an idea of where we want to be. Let's start focusing on the houses available there. And then they 6 months later bought a $750,000 house and we needed to sell the $400,000 house. So um, it is consistency, and it's with any lead source, no matter what you do for marketing, you have to set a realistic timeline. So whether that's 3 months or 6 months, I don't do anything for less than 6. If I'm not seeing some kind of conversion, I think there's actually different levels of conversion. I think getting somebody on the phone is a conversion in itself. I think getting their expectation and timeline is a level of conversion. Getting them to actually looking at houses or listing a house, that's like the ultimate. That's what we're looking for. But you have to take the wins of actually getting somebody on the phone and understanding that they're real, what they're looking for, their timeline, and then going from there. But if you're not doing it, like you said, for enough time, it's like you were in 30 days and you're like, "Oh my god, this is so awful." It's not so awful. You just haven't given even Google, if you were to start spending money on Google ads for yourself right now, Google takes 3 to 6 months to get that algorithm going. So if after 30 days you're like, "I didn't get one call from my Google number." Well, it's because they haven't even like been able to roll your campaign out fully yet. So, understanding like that part of the marketing, it's you have to deep dive into it to understand how these things work. And if you don't and you just stop it after 30 days, you're never going to have a consistently converting lead source.
100%. And even bought Zillow leads, they say 98% take more than 6 months to convert.
Yep.
They're telling you the numbers, but people just want someone to pick up. And yes, sometimes you get it when they say, come over today for a listing appointment, but that shouldn't be the expectation.
No.
I do have a question though. Since you're so good at this, do you have a certain script you're using? Because they are having their phone blow up by all these agents at the same time. Maybe they didn't actually expect someone to call them. What do you say to them?
Two things. One is speed to lead. I've always believed in speed to lead. It also goes back to hearing Andrew talk the first time within my first year, right? He's just like electric when he's like talking. It gets you so excited. But anyways, it's speed to lead. So if you have a lead source and it hits your phone, like, hey, claim this source right now. Like, be ready to call right now. I always, depending on the time of day, if a lead source comes in right before dinner, I'm honest with them. I will say, hey, it's Alicia, Welcome Home Realty. Redfin just connected us. I'm so sorry. I'm in the middle of cooking dinner too. I just wanted to see, they said you wanted to go see this property. Do you want to see it tomorrow? Or do you want me to get some information about the property first? I'm just real with them on the phone, but I do try to make it really quick. There are a lot of sources out there, a lot of the realtor.com, they're sending multiple agents to that person at the same time. So I will say straight out, I'm like, hey, Alicia with Welcome Home. I know your phone has probably gone off like 400 times because you asked realtor.com to connect you with somebody. I just want you to know I'm real. I am in the area. And if you wanted to see it tomorrow, we can go tomorrow. I always try to set an expectation of like, I can be there tomorrow, or, hey, what's your schedule like this week so that we can go look at the property for buyers. Now, if it's a listing lead, then I will 100% kind of immediately ask them like what's their expectation and if I can come see the property tomorrow. If it is a listing, I always say tomorrow, and if I cannot be there tomorrow, then I always say my work wife, because I have two of them. And
Mm.
so I will ask one of my work wives to go to a listing appointment on my behalf. And then if I'm able to, I'll share it with them. But some lead sources don't allow you to put another agent on it. So, but I try my hardest. If they say they're not available tomorrow, then I'm like, okay, what day works best for you? I'll work it into my schedule and constantly do that. Now, if they don't pick up, because a lot of lead sources, the lead hit something at midnight and now it's going out to multiple people and they're not really trying to.
Mhm.
Zillow's a great example of that. They're scrolling on their phone in the middle of the night and they hit like contact an agent, and we're not getting that notification until 8 o'clock because of consumer laws or sales laws. And so those ones, I just make sure everything goes into my database. Absolutely everything. I have a really great database that's AI driven. So it's texting them. If it actually sees that they're looking at a property or viewing a market report, it emails me to let me know that they've looked at a property 3 times. If they haven't been on the website in 30 days and all of a sudden they're back on it, it emails me and says, hey, this person's back on the website after this many days. All of those kind of notifications, that's a phone call right now. That's a, hey, I need to follow up right now because you weren't on the site and now you're back on the site. I need to know exactly what you're looking for.
So I remember when all these referrals, like type of sites started coming out. And I remember you needed to have some experience on some of them. Some of them, they wanted you to
Yep.
have at least 3 years, 5 years. They're wanting to see your past sales. And I remember newer agents on my team not being able to sign up. Have they loosened that a bit where pretty much anyone can sign up now?
Every lead source is different. So Redfin's a really great example that you have to be in for 2 years. They wanna know your sales volume, but they also want your clients to review you. So you have to go back to past clients and say, "Hey, I'm sending you a link. It's a Redfin link. This is a new lead source I'm trying out. Can you please give me a referral and a reference at the
Oh,
end of the day?"
yeah.
A review is what they want. And so you have to get, I think it's like 50% of the leads or the closings you did the year before or within a certain amount of to review you. And then they take you on. I know they're gonna be changing only because they partnered with Rocket now, and Rocket had its own lead source, so I'm assuming they're gonna start tying in together possibly somehow long term. There's also a lot of sources that you can't sign on without your broker signing the application because at the end of the day, your broker has
Mhm.
to write them a check. So each one is completely different. I would say the ones that I think are the absolute easiest are going to be like the Zillows and the realtor.coms. Those are ones that you can usually sign up for. You don't need your realtor to sign anything. Um, and they'll start billing you immediately and sending you leads immediately. It's the ones that require the little bit of extra sometimes actually have the better lead source though, because those are taking that extra layer because they have a better converting lead, and at the end of the day, they wanna make their money, so they they're putting you through those, but there's so many out there now, there's absolutely so many, and then if you wanna get real simple with it, I mean, you can create your own realtor page on Facebook, and you can boost your own you can come up with great content and boost that and drive it towards lead sources. So if you're showing a house you just sold or one that's on the market, or you just want to share realtor content, you can boost that on Facebook and gain leads that way too. So it's a way to pay it, but it does work. Instagram works. They all have there's so many. There's just so many, but what I don't recommend is signing up for all of them at once. You will
Okay.
well overwhelm yourself. I have one of the agents at Welcome Home. She's been there a few years now. When she first started, she got on Opcity. She's just now like, "I think I'm ready for lead sources," and she was like, "Can you give me a few that you use?" And so we were going through the ones I like, the ones I don't like, the ones I've used in the past that I don't recommend, and she called the other day and she's like, "So I signed up for this one, and this one." I was like, "That's a lot all at once." And she was like, "Yeah, but it's quiet." I'm like, we're coming into the winter. Of course it's gonna be quiet, but in the summer, you're now gonna have the Op City leads coming in hot and heavy. You're now gonna have this or other source coming in hot and heavy. They all have databases you have to update, and you're gonna be on the road all the time. And you're gonna have to manage all these at once now. And she was like, "I'll figure it out." And I was like, "Some of them will kick you off if you're not
Yeah.
updating them and keeping them going." I told her, I was like, I wouldn't recommend like doing that ever again.
Yeah.
I would stick with what you got and try to make those work for a
Mm.
while. But at the end of the day, you have to be consistent. If you sign up for one and it says you're supposed to log in every 7 days to update, then you log in every 7 days to update. If it says you're supposed to the minute you get a contract, you're supposed to update that or upload that contract because sometimes, especially with any site that has listings, they're constantly running to see if that hits the market. And
Mhm.
they want that information from you before they find out that it hit the market. So you just have to look into each one and which one's going to work for you and then stay consistent with it from the beginning.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, they want to give more better leads to people that are converting and updating their systems, just like how a team leader does. Like, hey, you can convert. I want to give you more. So it's just like anything. Well, Alicia, it's been so much fun talking with you. Fun question. Like, I'm guessing the answer is yes, but are you making more money than you've ever made in your life now in real estate?
Yep. Yeah,
That
yeah.
is phenomenal. That is
It's
awesome.
pretty exciting and I like I said, I'm really enjoying I don't gatekeep. Like if somebody is like, "Can you just tell me how you did it?" I'm like, "Yes, yes I can. Let's start from the beginning and let's like get you there and get everything going as fast as we can." So that's huge.
So, how can people find you?
You can find me. I go by that awesome ducking realtor on
That's
Instagram.
cute.
I drive a bright yellow Jeep. It's wrapped. The front of it says "Zero Ducks Given." So I get a lot of marketing high fives that way for being sarcastic. You can also find me on Facebook, Alicia Holmquist Realtor, and feel free to just Google me, call me, look me up. I'm in the Myrtle Beach market, but I do service North Carolina and South Carolina and very big areas of it. So send your referrals to me.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. We know you're fine paying them out, so it's
Yeah,
all good.
exactly. I will absolutely sign that paper right now.
Yeah,
Like, just send me the
yeah.
referral. And
Yeah,
I
and
can probably close it.
I'm about to tell my team members, you need to sign up for these referral sources. So this has been so great. Thank you, Alicia. And Real Estate Rock Stars, go sign up for them and reach out to Alicia if you have any questions.